Boop. Happy Thursday. Today is Thursday, May 7th, 2020. And the scripture lessons for today, the daily Bible readings for today, are Psalm 31, 1 through 5, and verses 15 through 16. Genesis 12, 1 through 3. And then Acts chapter 6, 8 through 15. But I'm going to be focusing on Genesis, and not just because it's the shortest. Genesis 12, 1 through 3. And this is where we meet Abram. And so if you've read Genesis before, you know that Abram is this guy who we later come to know as Abraham. And if you grew up in church, you probably sang a song called Father Abraham, and I'm not going to sing it right now. You can find it later. Ask any 3-year-old that goes to church. They probably know the song, and they will sing it to you until you're just very, very tired of it. Anyway, so this whole thing is about Abraham going. It's this kind of the whole point of Abram's life. I need to get used to saying Abram, not Abraham, because he's not Abraham at this point. So anyway, where the story starts off is that God has set his eyes on Abram. Anyway, God has set his eyes on this man, Abram, and has decided to bless him with great things. He lives in a place called, an area called Ur, and you can look that up. Matter of fact, better yet, go read Genesis, and you'll learn all this for yourself. But God decides to bless Abram with great things. He tells him that he's going to make him the father of a nation, that his name will live on in fame and greatness, that he himself would become a blessing for everyone else. So all the other families of the earth, it says, will be blessed through and because of him. So that's a pretty big deal. It sounds pretty awesome. God's going to give him all these things, but there's one catch, and it's a pretty big catch. He tells him, you got to move. Right? I'm going to do all these great things to and by and through you, but you've got to move. You've got to move from where you are into this place that I've prepared for you, this place that I am going to give you, that I'm going to give your descendants, but you got to move to it. In other words, you got to leave your country, your family, your father's house, your father, and go to this place that I'm going to take you to. And it's all, you got to do this on faith. And that's kind of the funny thing about faith, isn't it? Faith is funny in that it requires that we move away, right? If we're going to act in faith, and once again, you can't really, faith is action, right? It's not just assenting to something or just merely saying, oh yeah, that sounds cool. It requires action on our part for it to be faith. It requires that we move away. It requires that we move away from what we know. It requires that we move away from what we like. It requires that we move away from the things that we find comfortable. And it requires that we move away from those things that we feel like or think that or believe give us our identity. A lot of times. That's the thing about faith that a lot of people don't like. If we're going to say that we really have faith, it may be that we have to give up all these things and move to a new place. And so, like I said, it requires that we move away from something and move towards something. It requires that we move towards a new place that God has prepared, just like Abram. Faith means that we are in motion, right? It means that we're in motion towards the things that we don't know yet, that God is going to show us. It means that we're moving away from things that we like into the things that we probably actually need. It means that we're moving away from the place where we're comfortable and moving through and into a place where we may be very, very uncomfortable for a good amount of time until we come to the place where God means for us to be. And it means that we move away from those things which are our identity now into a thing that is a new identity for us, a new identity in and through God. For us as Christians, it means in and through Christ. So faith means motion, and faith, well, it's a movement. And the thing is, though, that the blessing is in the movement. If Abram hadn't done what God asked, hadn't moved, had said, okay, I like all those things, but I'm not up on leaving my country and my father's house, I doubt he would have enjoyed the blessings of it. So, faith is a movement, but the blessings in the movement. So go, have a good Thursday, and we'll see you tomorrow for Friday. Boop.